Good evening, everyone. This is Anthony Sebaaly from Lebanon. I'm currently an IEEE Lebanon section student representative, YP Lebanon board member, and IEEE VSYP 2020 Lebanon ambassador. I want to welcome you all, and I will start with a brief introduction about Lebanon section. Our section was established on November 24. We got several awards throughout the years. One of them was the Outstanding Section Membership Recruitment Performance in 2018. We organized several regional and local big congresses, such as MINACOM, SYPLC, and MSAT. Today, we are hosting the first session in the SYP, which we were super excited to make it face-to-face and get to know you more, our colleagues in the region. But unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we were obliged to participate with this amazing organizing team virtually. I want to thank the whole team for guiding and giving us the opportunity to participate in this great event. Due to this pandemic and its effect on the market, we chose to tackle in today's session the following topic: career versus crisis, elevate your career in spite of crisis, which will be given by an expert speaker, Imad Abou Khalil. Imad was named #1 life coach influencer on social media in 2018 and has changed many lives during his long career. He has trained and coached thousands of people in Canada and the MENA region in the last decade, including top leaders from global companies like Forbes, MENA, Gulf Analytica, Thomson Reuters, Johnson & Johnson, MoneyGram, and others. In Lebanon, Imad is a trainer or a public speaker at many highly recognized organizations like ABC, AUBMC, Mazda, Phoenicia Hotel, Doctors Without Borders, Holdel, and many others. He is a life coach, corporate training, and public speaker. He is also certified in leadership by the Institute of Leadership and Management, sales first in Lebanon by National Association for Sales Professionals in USA, NLP practitioner, National Federation for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Imad continues to work towards fulfilling his life vision 3I, which is internationally inspirational influencer. Imad, thank you for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Anthony, thank you for the introduction. I just want to make sure you can hear me well and see me well before I get started with everyone here.
Definitely, Imad.
That's great. So before sharing screen with you, I want to say I'm very happy to be here for so many reasons. Number one, because we need this to happen and to have Lebanon included in it with everything's happening in the country. And number two is because I used to be an IEEE member around 2005, 2006. So more than around 15 years ago, I used to be the vice president of Beirut University branch, and we were very active. So I have some remnants towards these days and nice memories. These are among the reasons I'm very happy to be here. Now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and make sure you guys can see it well. And meanwhile, in the chat room or where you can type answers, to make sure you guys can see my presentation. If you can see my presentation, please type yes in the chat to make sure everyone can see it, everyone can hear me. Please type yes in the box where it says say something nice. So say something nice, press a yes to make sure you guys can see it well and can hear me well. Excellent. Perfect. That's a great response. That's a great communication response. So Now, let's start with what reality is, because before we discuss opportunities on how to actually elevate the career, your own career, in spite of all the crisis. So every country has its own crisis. Worldwide, there's a pandemic which created some crisis. Lebanon has its own crisis in addition to the pandemic. Anywhere in the world you're watching us today, there's some kind of crisis, whether social, whether economic, but we can all agree that the COVID-19 has created some global crisis where what we're going to take today in the presentation is almost global and can apply anywhere. So I made the presentation, the seminar of today, evergreen. So anytime you can see it, you can watch it, you can still benefit from this. We live in times that we call VUCA. VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So the volatility of the change that's happening and the uncertainty that people are living are creating so many questions in your heads, and I'm very, very, very sure that there are so many questions in your head about the present, about the future, even about your well-being. And this uncertainty creates a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress happening. So today's presentation will be as practical as possible. Now, I want to start with a disclaimer that says it's okay not to be okay. We are living in very tough times. So whatever emotion you're going through, whether it's some disappointment or frustration, or you're close to give up, that's very normal because we are living unprecedented times. And so it's very normal to try, and no one is calling you back, and no company is calling you back for a job interview, right? From one side, your job market is very competitive, but from the other side, the global market is still closed. And even businesses are trying to figure out how they're going to do their business. So it's very normal what you're going through. And it's not, the fault isn't in you. It's not your own fault. It's a global problem, right? So I want you to accept and acknowledge whatever feeling you're going through, because this is very important to help you stand up again, right? You don't want to beat yourself down. You want to accept. And I wrote something on my LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, talking about this. Examples about Lebanon, because people worldwide can understand the situation in Lebanon. So this is a good practical example. So from one side, people in Lebanon are trying to apply for jobs in the MENA region, in Dubai, in UAE, abroad, in the States. But from the other side, the global markets are still closed, right? So people are getting disappointed. But let me tell you something about the times we're living in. The traumatic effects of the time we're living in don't always create traumas. There's something positive. There's something positive that happens after tough times. It has a name. It's called post-traumatic growth. And this is the time where you grow after a certain trauma. So take this time that we're going through based on the law of the sow and reap. So for example, farmers know this, right, Anthony? Farmers, when they plant the seeds, they don't expect the plants or the trees or the fruits to grow in the same season of the planting, right? So there's a law in nature that's called the law of sow and reap. Imagine this time we're going through is a great application of the sow and reap. Because for example, when you sow the seeds in winter or in fall, you wait a couple of seasons until it's summer or spring, and then these seeds are blooming. So always think about it this way. And now, globally, the markets are in the fall. So use this time to plant the seeds. And when I'm talking about planting the seeds, I'm going to tell you in the next few slides what exactly do I mean by this. So companies might not be able to hire today because they're trying to figure out how to do business differently, but they will be hiring. Eventually, a lot of businesses will be out and a lot of businesses will be created. So these businesses that will be created, the new ones, the innovative ones, the sustainable ones, will have to hire people. And that's the only way they can exist. So, and that's another law, because there's death and life. So we know that new businesses will always arise after any circumstances and any crisis. And this has been proven over and over again. Like if you look at the 2008 global crisis, which happened in the States and had echoes in, for example, UAE, new businesses were created, were innovated because of the crisis. A crisis is a chance for innovation. And with new businesses created, this means these businesses will have to hire new people like you who are engineers or who work in telecom or software or any industry like we're gonna see today. So back to this idea. This is a buffer time. This is a saw time. This is the time where you plant the seeds and not give up. I understand your disappointment, and you're okay to be disappointed. That's your right to be disappointed, and that's totally fine. But just have one thing in mind, one idea in mind. If you're gonna wait for the plant to bloom during the time when you put the seed, you're gonna be disappointed. All what I'm saying is change your expectations. If your expectations are to be hired just today, maybe you want to change your expectations to something more realistic and take the time to work on yourself and develop the skills, as we're going to see in a bit, because we know for sure that businesses globally will have to be hiring people like you. Anthony, am I moving fast or are we good? Everyone can hear us. We need to do this feedback. I can imagine talking for 10 minutes and then no one can hear me and I'm just out. So Anthony, I need your feedback, or people can still hear me.
No.
Yeah, all is well?
Fine. It's fine.
That's great. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. R8vSYP. Yeah. So what are the skills? What are the skills? When we sent the registration form to people, and we asked them about, most of the people answered by leadership and teamwork and maybe emotional intelligence, right? But after what happened in 2020, we need to think skills in a very, very different way. And why am I talking about skills? You cannot continue working after 2020 with the same set of skills that you had before 2020. And this happened, for example, with the Industrial Revolution. Before the Industrial Revolution, people had different skills than after the Industrial Revolution. The people who had jobs and who found jobs after the Industrial Revolution are people who actually developed the skills for the market after the Industrial Revolution. So it's very smart to think of skills. And history always proves this. Someone you know deep in all the certificates you have, but if you're not skilled at doing the work, you're not going to be hired. So what are the skills that are going to be very top wanted in 2020? I'm just going to mention 3 of them, but there's plenty that you can, they're going to be different in each industry. But we can almost agree that these 3 are very, very important. Again, different industries will have different kind of skills. For example, agility is one of or to change your work environment, for example, or to be able to actually work things to the idea of multidisciplinary. So what's a multidisciplinary? Well, it comes plan. So let's say as an engineer, you're used to working with a certain system, right? Now, multidisciplinary means even if you are an engineer who works in certain systems, you want to have certain disciplines or skills from different disciplines. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say recruitment is usually related to HR, and it's a separate discipline from engineering. But that's something from the past, because moving forward, you as an engineer, you might have to know multidisciplines, like for example, recruitment from HR, so that you as an engineer know how to recruit the right people for your own team. So the idea of multidisciplinary says being an engineer isn't an excuse for you anymore not to be included in some recruitment or other disciplines. So think about it this way. Different disciplines have different skills. For example, accounting would need more attention to details and as a project engineer. So you got to think about it this way. You're going to develop the skills from different disciplines. You need to know some strategic thinking, let's say, or social media. So now part of your skills as an engineer is adopting some social media skills from the marketing discipline, because this will help you advance over other candidates who are only engineers. And of course, skill number 3 is teamwork. The bigger the team, the more difficult the communication, especially when it's happening over Wi-Fi or over the internet, and we can experience it. For example, now any delay in communication, any miscommunication, because we know that communication is there's 55% of the effectiveness of the communication happens in body language. When people cannot see our body language, or it's cutting, and if it's cutting, so we cannot really realize the quality of the tone of voice, which is 38% of the effectiveness of the communication. So we're talking about more and more and more ineffectiveness of communication due to the online thing. So teamwork is one of the skills. Any question, guys, so far about any of the topics we're talking about regarding whether skills, whether the VUCA? So let me see. Please ask me in the chat or ask a question. So there's a question here by Rida Khairi. Do you think that COVID-19 will change the vision to future by giving more consideration to scientific research? It's already happening. This is one of the disciplines and one of the industries which are booming. And if you're looking for a job, it's so smart to think about these disciplines: healthcare, scientific research, and others. Okay. Dan has asked me, how can we generally show our skills, even if we don't have certificates? So skills are separate than certificates. Certificates certify that you have the knowledge and you've done the exams. Skills prove that you have the ability to do something. So how do you do it? You do it by telling them examples you worked on. So if I tell you about a project that I worked on, that's a proof that I have the skills to work on a project, because the certification doesn't certify that I can work on a project. There's the gap between the certification and the marketplace. So your best bet is to use the STAR system, which is situation, task, action, result. Describe the situation, the task you had, the action you took, and the result you got, which shows your skills. Imad, can you help list 5 top tech skills? Okay, 5 top tech skills, definitely SEO, social media marketing. I'm getting so many questions here and there. So I'm going to mention, Philip, I'm going to mention 2 for now, which is SEO and social media marketing. Do you agree skill is the correct application of theory and so skill is necessity? You know, I'm not going to get into this specific detail, but skills are a proof that you can do something. And when people hire us, they hire us to accomplish something. So they need to know the skills. Now, moving forward, and I'm going to when you have a resume, or whether on LinkedIn or in your interviews, keep this in mind. This is called the KSAE, the knowledge, skills, abilities, and experiences. When you talk about yourself, make sure you mention these 4 points. Okay? So it's not enough to talk about your experiences. It's not enough to talk about certificate. Keep in mind that you have 4 strengths, 4 things you can elaborate on. So these 4 skills are knowledge. 4 points are knowledge, skills, abilities, and experience. The knowledge you have, the skills you have adopted, the abilities you have inside you, and the experience from working in different disciplines or past experience. Now, when you apply for a job, whether on LinkedIn or using a resume, make sure you mention all the relevant knowledge, skills, abilities, experiences with a job description. So read the job description you're applying for, pick up all the needed knowledge, skills, abilities, and experiences, and out of the vast pool of the knowledge, skills, experiences, and abilities that you have, try to match them with a job description, which is good for 2 reasons. It's good for the recruiters who are looking for people who match a job description, and it's good for the ATS system, which is an automatic system to filter resumes based on a lot of keywords. So keep that in mind. You have a lot. Like, even if you lost your job, you didn't lose the KSAE, which is the knowledge, skills, abilities, experiences, which helped you land your past job. So even if you lost your job, you didn't lose your KSAE, because this is something you always own and you can always use and elevate and express and discuss to find a job. Do you believe making a YouTube channel or web page to show your projects? Definitely. Like I'm with even making simple videos using your phone. You don't have to have a very advanced camera. Instead of just sending your resume or a LinkedIn link, you can also make a private YouTube URL link where you've shot yourself introducing yourself. So, hello, my name is Imad, and my job is to transform people and organizations. I'm very excited to be here and to introduce myself to you. And I talk about myself. So whatever is written in the resume isn't as effective as a video, because as we said, the video embraces the power of the tone of voice and the body language. So it's more convincing and it's more persuading if you do a video. You can do it, as I said, on YouTube, upload it as a private, and then have an unlisted URL where only the people you can send the URL to can do it. And I've done it with so many of my candidates. This is one of the things I've done with my candidates. It definitely works. It definitely shows a different kind of candidate. Great.
Imad, sorry for interrupting you, but I think people are asking if you can write them, if you can write the skills mentioned in the last question before this one. So because of the bad connection, like the 5 top skills, later you can do that.
Okay, where's the question?
It's not a question, it's inside the broadcast and the chat box.
Okay, so please remind me to go back to this at the end, right?
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Now, to find a career and to be more qualified to a career, we have to dig deeper into our skills or our competences. So competencies or competence is one of the reasons you get hired, and it's one of the reasons you can advance your job. So let me ask you something. Let's say I am an engineer, okay? And I want to become a project engineer. I'm going to start by asking myself, which competence, this is the competence question, which competence should I have to develop so that when I do develop, it's going to help me get hired as a project engineer? So if the answer comes as project management, I'm going to go and, let's say, work on projects or choose projects in my company which will help me develop this competence. So again, I'm an engineer who want to become or who desire to become a project engineer in 3 years. I'm going to ask myself the competence question. What's the competence that I need to develop so I can become a project engineer in 3 years? One of the answers could come as management, okay, or PMP. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to my, let's say, team leader or manager or HR to let me in on some projects where I can be a team leader or a project engineer on a tiny part of the project. So this will help me build the competences, okay? Now the second answer will come as do a PMP certificate by, let's say, PMI, okay? So I'm gonna go and study that. What's gonna happen in 3 years? In 3 years, I'm gonna be qualified to have that position because I asked myself this question in advance. And this is what we call in neuro-linguistic programming, future pacing. Future pacing is the following. Imagine the future you wanna have in a year or 2 or 3, and ask yourself this question. What do I have to do today? What do I have to plan today so that when I get there, I can own it, I can have it, I can have this job? And whatever answers you get, start working on them today. Start developing them today. Start studying them today. Any questions about the competencies? We're good. So this slide is a difference maker for so many people, because the industries that used to be very active and the industries that were actively recruiting in the past are not the same as the industries that are recruiting now. So for example, because of the biggest explosion that happened in Lebanon, now we can see that the insurance and the medical care industries are hiring and recruiting as crazy. So we need to start thinking about which industries are now hiring people. So globally, we can see that e-commerce, telemedicine, teleworking, remote learning, automation are now the hot industries. Why is this important to you? Because you need to change your mindset of how to apply for a job. So for example, if I'm a software engineer, it's not enough anymore to apply to an app company because there might not be too many apps, but definitely people are going into automation, people are going to artificial intelligence. So you can start applying as a software engineer, but in non-so traditional industries like automation or artificial intelligence, for example. So you have to change the possibilities of applying for a job, okay? So let's say you're an engineer and you're used to, or you're programmed to apply to, for example, engineering companies like the ones we have in Lebanon, which are MTC or Alpha. In Canada, they had Bell or TELUS or Fido. In the States, there's the AT&T. So engineers have a program that says, if you're an engineer, you can apply to engineering companies. This is true, but now there are globally hot industries. For example, you can work as an engineer in a hospital. They need telecommunication, the telecommunication center or the channel or the network between these hospitals, especially because of the corona, or people are trying to work remotely, or doctors are trying to work remotely. So they have to sell or adopt or create systems or engineering systems. So you have to try to match between the job you're looking for from one side and the industry, the hot industry from the other side. I'm going to take a minute here to ask if you guys have any questions, because this is a very important question about industries. And generally speaking, if anyone has a question. Can we get skills before getting a job? Yes. I have a slogan that says, do the job before you get the job. So do the job before you get the job. I'll give you a very simple example. If I'm a graphic designer, and I would love to work for a specific company, let's say IEEE, okay? I would go to IEEE and I would renovate their logo in a more, nicer way. And then I'm gonna show them the work, the new identity, the new logo. I didn't get the job yet, but I'm working as if I got the job. This will give them a glimpse about the skills I have, the creativity I have, the experience I have, the technical skills I have, the personal skills of communication with them that I have. So this will make me more qualified, because people want to make sure I can do the job. For example, a technical example. Let's say I want to work for an application company or telecom company, or I want to work as a data scientist or as a software engineer. This company that I'm applying for definitely has a website. I would go to their website and find their bugs in their code and show them the bugs they have in their code. Just a simple example. So this will give them a glimpse of my abilities to do the job before getting the job. So think about it this way, and from your own perspective, so let me tell you something I do in coaching, okay? So in coaching, what I do, definitely. Well, what I do in coaching, for example, I would go to a company and for an hour or two, I would coach their employees I would let them experience it. We do these exercises, whether on paper or in person, and then they will have these aha moments. And at the end, they would ask me to, let's say, do a contract for coaching, or to send them a proposal. Or if I say I want to send you a proposal for coaching, it would be very welcome and very open, because they got a taste of it before it happened. Okay, so always think in mind, how can I do the job before I get the job? Someone once said that if you want to receive something first, but our minds are always programmed to want to receive first before we give, right? We want to receive a job, we want to receive the salary before we give something. Now, you want to change this law in your head. You have to first give to start the process of receiving. I'm going to repeat this again. You want to first give to start the process of receiving. Give your time, give your skills, give your experience, expose yourself out there to start the process of receiving opportunities. And I've done it for years, and I've helped my client do it for years, and that's how it works. Part of what got me the name of the one life coach influencer on social media in Lebanon in 2018 was my presence on LinkedIn. I know a couple of stuff about LinkedIn. I don't pretend to be an expert, so I'm going to share them with you. And this is what you can do starting tonight, starting today, right? Number one, connect with your future employer. Now focus on this and read it well. Connect with your future employer. What does that mean? If I want to work for a company, let me go to the company, find out the HR, the managers. It's just the connect button. That's it. But, don't message them yet. Once you message them, here's the creepy part, because it's like knocking someone's door and asking for a favor. Don't do that. Okay? Simply connect with them, and that's it. No messages, no pleasure connecting, nothing. Keep it very simple. Well, yeah, professional stalkers. Okay? Number two, engage with them. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean sending them private messages, at least not for now. Engage with their posts. So go on their profile, read the posts you're interested in, and the ones you can generally add value to, and write a comment or a like. You can like the post, or most importantly, write something genuine. So one time after the other, one day after the other, one post after the other, the person will pay attention to you and your contribution and your engagement on their posts. But this engagement, it has to be genuine, it has to be real, it has to be professional, right? Otherwise, timing them. So connect with the future employer and engage with them. Why is this important? Because at some point you're going to be stuck in their head. So next time you apply for a job, maybe they can remember you, especially if you have the LinkedIn link in your resume. And if they don't remember you, what you can do is, a month after or 2 weeks after, send a friendly message, because they're going to remember you, right? You've been engaging for a while in a smart, professional way, and say, hey, listen, I love your post, keep it up. And by the way, I send my resume to your company. That's it. Nothing 2 to 3 weeks or a month of don't do said, listen, you have then, you know, a couple of weeks later, I'm gonna say, hey, listen, God bless your kids. And then I ask for my favor. Now, number two, you can do on LinkedIn, which is something you can do at least 3 times a week. It's an information curator, which is get on some information from your industry and post them on LinkedIn, because this will help the algorithm expose you to the network and people start seeing you more often. So recruiters and headhunters will pay attention to you. So next time they want to recruit someone or hire someone, they can see you because you're there, because you connected to them, because you're engaging with them, because you're posting valuable industry information news on the network. Okay? Thank you, Da, for the feedback. Thought leader, this is number 3 you can do on LinkedIn. It's something I do. It's not about curation, it's creation. Let me tell you the difference. Number 2 is curator. Curator is someone who copy pastes photos or images or links or studies and put them on the LinkedIn. Number 3 is creation. You create your own ideas about the industry. Now this is what you need to do. You have to change. People apply for jobs. It's not as much as before, the regular traditional send a resume and do a classical interview. You gotta put yourself out there. You gotta add value to people's lives. You gotta add value to your network. You gotta show them you know something or two. And if you gotta know something or two, you cannot only do it by copying and pasting material, although it's fine, but try your best at least once or twice a week to create something on your own study about the industry, about engineering, about insurance, about sales, about any industry you're in. Educate me and entertain me and get my eyes, okay? Get the eyeballs. People are so busy, there's a lot of noise. Engineers know this. There's something called signal to noise ratio. It's SNR, signal to noise ratio. There's always a signal coming and there's always noise, but your signal has to be higher than the noise so people can pick you up with their antennas, right? So imagine it this way. People have antennas. It's the minds, it's the eyeballs, it's the ears. There's a lot of noise happening and about everything and everyone. There's a clutter online. But what will make people look at you and listen to you is the signal to noise ratio. There's always noise, but make sure your signal is so high. You're adding value to people. You're passionate about what you do. You're authentic. You're genuine, and you're proactive. And people will knock your doors asking you if you can work for them, because they believe and they can feel that you can bring value to their companies. We get hired if we bring values to companies. Any questions so far before going forward?
Yeah, we have 4 questions.
Yes. So what are they? Where can I see them? Oh, here. Yeah. So what about health informatics field? Of course, go ahead. Health informatics. So you're combining multidisciplinary, which is information, data science, engineering, electronics from one side, and health, which is top. Go ahead. If you want to get a place on LinkedIn, can we post questions other than articles and posts so people can view that we are with the stream? Well, again, don't ask questions. Stop trying to ask for things. When you go on LinkedIn or anywhere you go, give and give and give and give and give. So give me value, give me information, educate me, entertain me, and then ask a question, engage with me, or maybe ask a favor once in a while. So do you think that sending a message directly after accepting your Oh yeah, do not send a message immediately. It's very tacky. It's very cliche. I cringe when someone does this to me. I mean, if you're going to connect to someone, just wait a day or two to say pleasure connecting to you, but definitely wait a couple of weeks before you hit for a favor, because everyone is connecting with everyone and asking for favors. You're just going to be like another person asking for a favor. Don't start by asking, start by giving. Give value, engage with your network, engage with your future employer before you ask. Don't come from a place of asking. Come from a place of giving first to start the process of asking. I know it might be critical because you're looking for a job, but again, the markets are globally closed. So take this time to plant. And one of the things you're planting is planting the seeds of building connections, building relationships. This is what you need to do. Build connections, build relationships, build positioning, build yourself as an authority in what you know and what you do. Take a month or two on LinkedIn and do that. And then you can ask. But by the time you ask, people will open the doors for you because you've added value to their life or to their careers. Can we use LinkedIn to approach potential clients in the same way? Again, let me tell you something. I've been on LinkedIn for probably 6 or 7 years. I had 28,000 connections. I don't remember a time when I sold something. However, 80% of my business comes from LinkedIn. 80% of my business comes from LinkedIn. Why? I'm not selling, I'm not pitching, I'm being me. I'm adding value to people's life, to people's career. People who go on LinkedIn are looking for jobs. I'm telling them how to look for jobs. People on LinkedIn are looking for skills. I'm telling them how to look for skills. So you have to add value to the network, and you got to keep on doing it, and people will come to you. Now, if you want to become a bit more proactive with your clients, imagine your best client, your qualified client, connect with them, engage with their posts, write posts that would benefit them, and tag them, or send them a message that says, I think that you may find this valuable to you, and tag them. And once you do this more than once or twice or thrice, they're going to like you because you're adding value to them. You're giving them solutions. And then they're going to ask you, what do you do? And you're going to tell them what you do. And they're going to be most likely interested in your business. Because for me, and I'm the first in Lebanon who's qualified from the National Association for Sales Professionals, and I have my own sales program. The rule number one in sales is don't sell. The rule number one in sales is serve. This is the time where we have to serve. This is the time where we have to add value to people's life, because everything can be taken away from you in any moment. We are very volatile. We are very, very agile. We've seen a lot of sickness and death in the last couple of months, and we have to change our approach from a selling to serving. If you're going to stand out, if you're going to be sustainable, you have to serve people. And that's the only idea that should be in your mind. How can I serve people with what I know, with what I have, with my KSAE, knowledge, skills, abilities, and experiences? And people will open up to you, and people want to work with you. And thank you, Dr. Hisham, for your feedback, and Zainab as well. So moving forward with probably my last slide is employment to entrepreneurship. Now, a tiny piece of information about me, and I'm not asking anyone to do the same. Up until 2011, I used to be a telecom engineer. I thankfully was an engineer. I gratefully was an engineer. I did my telecom engineering master's in Concordia University. I was a teacher at Concordia University for electronics too. I had a teaching company, and I left in 2011 to pursue my passion, which is coaching and training, and I've developed myself so far. But I'm not asking anyone to quit their job, but what I'm saying is this is the best time to start your side hustle. This is the time where you can be an employee. If you want to be an employee, there's nothing wrong about it, right? But this is the best time to work 5 to 9 in the afternoon on your side hustle, because it's going to give you more certainty and more credibility and more certainty to show off your skills as well, right? So this is a great time to start your own hustle, and maybe this is something going to turn out that's great for you. So that's what I've done 10 years ago. Again, you don't have to do the same thing that I did. I burned the bridges. I never came back to engineering, but engineering gave me a great mindset of thinking about the future product that I want to create, and then reverse engineering the process. And this process has helped me a lot, from engineering telecom systems into engineering lives. And that's what I'm famous for. So maybe this is a great chance for you to go from employment to entrepreneurship, even if it's a part-time. I have witnessed during the Corona times so many people who found themselves, who found their passion, who quit their past jobs to work on themselves, because they realized, that nothing else matters if you're not going to be happy, if you're not going to be fulfilled, if you're not going to be living a meaningful life. Because the only meaning that life has is the meaning you give it by the way you live it. So this is the best time to have it. And finally, we can get in touch, but I'm waiting for any questions. I can see here there's great. Okay, there's no more questions. Everything's answered. Yeah. So I'm going to take a minute or two to see if there's any more questions. Anyone has a question or a clarification? All is well. Can you guys still hear me from all over the world? Anywhere you can hear us? Can you guys still hear us? Can you type a yes before we end this?
From Lebanon, I can confirm yes.
I really enjoyed this session. I just want to make sure, wow, that's amazing. So I'm waiting to connect with you specifically on my LinkedIn. Facebook or Instagram are a place where I add value socially and personally, but LinkedIn is where I add value professionally. I write about, I've took some screenshots that I put them in the presentation. It's all about career, personal development, professional development, skills development. It was a pleasure serving IEEE back again after all these 15 years. And thank you guys for having me. And I'm, looking forward to have you once again. Thanks for all the attendees and all the questions. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Imad. It was an amazing session.
Thank you.
Actually, Imad, we still have some questions.
Oh, yeah.
2 questions.
Middle East is definitely opening up, as the MENA region is opening up soon. And Africa is part of the MENA region. So MENA stands for Middle East and Africa. So at the moment, as I said, there might be no opportunities because of the market situation, but this is where you need to focus on. The MENA region is a hot region if you're in the region. Amir Baroudi, I'm assuming you're in the region. So definitely keep your eyes on the MENA region, on Dubai. How did you hustle your way out of 9 to 5? Don't take my advice. It worked for me. It doesn't have to work for you. But I burned the bridges, so I never went back to engineering. And because I did that, my engineering mind had to create solutions, had to create packages, had to create hustles, had to find me opportunities, and it taught me my way. And I say entrepreneurship is like jumping off an airplane and building your balloon as you go down. Okay, so that's how I think about it. But you don't have to do the same. You can start it from 5 to 9. Is it better to invest our time there or to learn in a system already developed? I'm not sure I can understand your question. Yeah. Lovely, guys. So the floor is yours, Anthony.
Thank you, Imad. Thank you so much, guys, for attending this session. And thank you for the VSYP team for having us and giving us such an opportunity to go regionally. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.